you're a carpenter, but what you really do is transform the way families live. That's really what you do.
Hey, Paul, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here, Spencer. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited for today. Maybe let's kick things off. Just give us a quick rundown of your business today. Kind of who are you, where are you located, and what kinds of projects you're working on?
Yeah, sure. We're in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, so a little bit away from where you folks are at, but I have attended Remodelers Advantage in the US and of course been at the IBS shows and so on in various pockets of the US. So, but we're operating here in Alberta for sure, and been at this in this province since 1999, but in the business 35 years. So grew up with the tools with my dad and became a GC at 24 years old. So been at this a little while.
Yeah, you may have learned a couple of things along the way.
Still learning though, man. Still learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're not, there's probably something wrong. So,
True.
Well, what kinds of projects are you guys working on today?
We have quite a range, but our focus is on whole home rentals. So our sweet spot, if you will, is a complete home rental, and we love doing the whole package inside and out. Additions, two-story additions on a bungalow, you call them a ranch, and different things like that. That's our sweet spot. That said, we have our own in-house cabinet shop, so we do all our custom cabinetry in-house. And then 5 years ago, we launched a handyman division just because we got tired of saying no to a bunch of business that we were just handing away. And so we've got a couple of crews in the handyman side as well. But our bread and butter is the whole home rental for sure.
Yeah. Is there a lot of that going on in your area right now?
Yeah, I think COVID has definitely brought a brand new attention to homeowners in terms of what their house is or isn't doing for them. And as you know, working from home has exacerbated a lot too, because now where do you have your office? Where do you have your kitchen? Where do you have your hangout space? So yeah, I think we've just really seen an appreciation, I think, for homes, which is our mantra. Our tagline is creating homes for life, or renovating homes for life. And life is all caps. There's so many rabbit trails I could go down with that last word. I mean, life's been dealt to all of us here during COVID, and I think it's shown us how important our homes really are.
Yeah, definitely seeing a lot of shifts in what people are wanting now out of their homes. Well, let's go back in time. You said you got onto the tools with your dad. I guess I'm curious, like, where did it all start, and how'd you get into this construction world?
Yeah, it's a long story, but there's some good parts, not so good parts too. But yeah, I mean, I remember growing up doing roofing and siding. My dad was in that business, so I think I probably was swinging a hammer at 10, 11, 12 years old, re-roofing barns and rural properties in the neighboring province of Saskatchewan here. And so, I enjoyed physical work. So I worked on, we're in a farming community, worked on my grandfather's farms through summers as well. So really had a good work ethic, and was taught that at a very young age. So that didn't come hard to me. So coming out of high school, I went right into the journeyman program, the apprenticeship program here in Canada, got my journeyman carpentry at age 23. Age 24, I launched my own business, and that's 36 years ago. So what happened along the way, though, is the first decade we were in custom homes, and we were guaranteeing completion dates back then, which was really unique in our jurisdiction. So, people that would transfer in, like bankers or various professionals, they needed their home completed, obviously, for that date when they transferred into the town I was working out of. But we had that kind of in place quite a few years ago. 6 years ago, we moved to the next province over, which is Alberta, where we're at now. And very different world here in terms of custom builds. It's more of a big boys club. You have to have property and land development and all of that. And I was probably a little bit too much of a maverick. I wanted to run my own ship. So we pivoted into renos, and it was a really good move. We still build custom homes. We still build infills. We'll do all of that. I say it this way, that in my view, this is, hopefully it won't offend anybody, but starting with a brand new, fresh set of plans and a new build is I think so doable. And I want to be careful I don't use the word simple, because it is simpler in my view than tackling a whole swack of engineering challenges. You have no idea what's behind those walls until you bring your engineering firm in, and rentals, in my view, have a whole set of challenges that you just don't have in new home construction. So, I feel we do some pretty large projects, and the bigger the better for me. I love the bigger the challenge, the more fun we have, in my view. But yeah, that's been the kind of the journey. That, would you like me to tell you where it got ugly?
Well, let's get into the
question?
ugly part, and then I'm going to take us back after that. But sure, I won't turn you down on that one.
Okay, well, it actually there's a silver lining.
Good.
It was interesting because going back to my father in that world, I actually vowed, as I think I was a teenager, I vowed I would never do what my dad does. I wouldn't go into construction. So guess what I did? I defaulted into construction. And then I feel, started, married young, had a family, 4 amazing kids. And, we just grew the family. By the time I got into my 30s, I was looking for other business ventures. I was involved in probably 4 other businesses. I still have a couple of those businesses running today. I was trying to exit. That's the ugly part, and ugly in a way, because it taught me a lot of things. At age 40, I had a what I feel is an epiphany, and it was just sharpening the focus. I viewed myself as a carpenter, which I was. I think a good carpenter, but I viewed myself all the way through retirement as a tool belt around my hips and a swinging a hammer. That's what I viewed as a carpenter. The focus I got at age 40 was, after, I call it divine intervention. In my view, I was desperately looking for signs, like, what am I going to do with my life? And my wife, I'm certain, is very thankful that I finally found it. But that focus, that sharp kind of tweak, wasn't much of a tweak, was just, I got this narrative in my head that, well, hang on, you're a carpenter, but what you really do is transform the way families live. That's really what you do, because you get to literally tear apart a current environment, bring it back to new, and transform the way they live. And that, Spencer, that tweak was, I say it this way, that's 21 years ago. I haven't worked a day in my life since. I really feel, I still get goosebumps. I still love walking into a brand new, awful looking home that I'm going to transform into an amazing product. So that's the silver lining. I got my epiphany, got ugly for my family because I dragged them through the mud for a few years trying to find myself. But I did.
Yeah.
Thank God I did.
Yeah, no, that's cool that you had that, because I mean, none of these like journeys that we're all on are perfect or straight up into the right, or any of those. Like, there's always bumps, there's chasms that we have to go into, or cross, or whatever it is. So yeah, and I'm curious, I have several questions, so I'm trying to figure out where to start. But one, you said you got into several businesses. I find that, like, entrepreneurs are kind of visionaries. I put myself in that bucket, just because you have ideas on ideas on ideas, and you're like, oh, we could do this and do this and do this. Was that part of that, like, clarity you got at 40, was, hey, I'm going to focus on transforming? Or do you still find yourself like wanting to explore some other avenues just because you have ideas, or you see opportunity?
Yeah, I think for me, the focus is more on how can I augment my current business, because I really found this is my lane, and I'm always looking at ways to improve. I probably OD a fair amount on just training. I'm a sponge for learning, so I love to avail myself of smarter people than I am, and that's through books, through seminars, webinars, podcasts, whatever. I really loved that learning process. So what happened is I got into real estate investing, and I thought that was really going to go into, that was going to be my kind of my outcome. But we still own those, and we got into a fairly reasonable real estate portfolio that we still manage today. But was down another track. It's interesting you say the journey. I went down a track from age 24 to 34, 26 to, yeah, I think it's 26 to 36, where I got involved in a business. And I say that it was a detour. I thought it was a detour looking at times in my life, but now, just talking to my wife just even this last week, I felt it was probably the best university I ever got. It was an MLM, if you can believe it.
Hmm.
But I got around some extremely progressive thinkers, and people skills, parenting skills, just business dynamics and principles in general. I learned from that group, and it was, I feel it was an invaluable kind of MBA in business I got while I was on the job.
Yeah, yeah.
A bit of a
I
rabbit
like
hole there, but
no, I like the phrasing of that, because I mean, I think a lot of kids today are going to school and they're dropping 200 grand or 300 grand over 4 years, and they get saddled with all this debt. And it's like, what did you really learn? And imagine if you had sunk 200 grand into a business and just had to learn on the fly, you'd learn 10 or 100x that probably. So I think it's a valid point you make. I'm also curious too, you said at 24 you started your own business. Like, not everyone does that, that's a young age. Like, was it confidence? Was it like, I know what I want to do? Like, what propelled you to say like, yep, I'm doing this, and at such a young age?
yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I don't think this is the case. I'm the firstborn of six. Always had a lot of responsibility. So I think I was kind of an old soul, uh, even being young. I saw myself tapped out. I went through two companies during my apprenticeship, and the last company I was with, I just remember, I think the thought process was, I can definitely do as good as this individual's doing, and I think I can do it better. Of course, nothing but vim and vinegar at age 24. I plunged. I can't believe my wife, came along for the ride, because it was scary, but man, we had an awesome run. Um, Business came our way, and we connected with some realtors, got into spec housing. So we built spec. It was kind of boom times back then. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think, the firstborn kind of lots of responsibility kind of idea. But I will tell you that there's always people you meet along the way. And I had a fellow that I had a lot of confidence in back then, and he just took me from a self-esteem of maybe substandard to a very positive self-esteem. And he just encouraged me. He said, Paul, like, I don't think was he lying to me? I think he probably was. But he said, you're the best carpenter in this town. And I thought, wow, if you think that way, maybe I can make it. So I just latched onto that positive affirmation. And that was part of the impetus of me jumping on my own.
That's cool. Yeah. It's so interesting that sometimes it can just come down to one or two little things, but then you look back on it and it's like that pivot point, and it puts you on this trajectory that, so super interesting. I'm also curious, like, you've been on this journey a while. What do you think's the toughest part of being in business for yourself and trying to grow a business?
Well, there's probably two answers to that. Business in general, looking back, had I only known what I know now, the old adage, right? But
Yeah, could have gone a
I,
little faster.
yeah, I think scaling our business is one topic that I'm still working on. I still haven't completely understood. I'm working on a reasonable trajectory, I think. Uh, but zero in our business, in the renovation business, I think zero to a couple few million a year gross sales is very doable by anybody that's got some motivation and strong work ethic. But scaling it beyond that is a whole other topic. So I think just a broad picture from what I heard from your question was more the business side itself. I think connecting with mentorship early uh, would have been something I would have done a better job of. And then just realizing that I think what I was always scared of was going for loans or lines of credit. I thought bankers were my enemy, and I found out actually they want my book of business. So if I treat them right and abide by the principles, I can ask for money. But I just obviously gotta abide by their rules.
Yep.
But they need my book of business. Had I known that, I think I would have done things a little differently.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I know there's always like there's so many little things that you just don't know when you're first getting started, and you don't know what you don't know. So it's not like you just go, oh, I got to pick up this book and just get all the answers. And so yeah, I'm always curious too. Usually people have like a crazy or weird client story. Obviously, leave out any names and stuff like that, but is there anything over the years where you're just like, man, I can't believe we went through that, or I can't believe that happened?
Yeah, we've been very, very fortunate. I tell clients this too, and I don't know if I do it as a self-serving thing. I don't consciously do it as that, but I tell people we've been super blessed with amazing clients. There's always the anomaly. We have had a couple, like literally less than a handful, that have been challenging and really challenging. And I say challenge where you just couldn't come to a reconciliation. Only been a couple of those in 30 some years, but there's always the client that seeks, and we just had one recently that seeks perfection versus excellence.
Hmm.
And I feel like I do a good job at the front end, but not everybody listens. And of course, they're listening through a filter anyway. But I just say, you know what? We're not robots. You can't program us to tolerances. We're humans, and with the human condition, there's going to be fall down. But what we will never do is what I promise our clients, and I've now got all these years of history behind us, is we'll never walk away. We will always finish. And I had a client just recently. We're halfway through their project. We call it the lowest ebb at drywall stage or boarding stage. It's the lowest ebb. We actually have a map, a psyche map that we give called a renovation survival guide to our clients that shows that we're going to expect you to be really low at this drywall stage. And then it comes back because you've spent all this money, you got your deposit money in, you see nothing but tear apart and junk. And now are you going to complete? So the challenging clients are those that, like I ran into recently, is they've heard so many horror stories, which is so sad in our business. But they really were worried. Their friends just said, is this guy gonna, like, are they actually going to finish? They're halfway through. Well, of course we are. We got, like, at any given time 9 to 12 projects on the go with a website full of galleries and a Rolodex of customers and 35 years behind us. Of course we're going to finish. But it's still an angst point for clients. And so that excellence versus perfection commentary, and then the horror stories that clients have felt, that I have to resell them on integrity. That's a really unfortunate part of our business.
Yeah, yeah, and it is prevalent in this industry. I mean, so many of those nasty experiences, or people bailing on jobs or taking deposits and just, "Oop, see you later,"
Yeah.
So yeah, no, and obviously there's lots of great companies like yours that are doing the good work to try to turn that back around for those people so that they can have those amazing transformations. I'm curious too, what do you think, you're most proud of, just of what you've built, or what's been like an outcome of the journey, or maybe a certain milestone you hit along the way as you reflect back?
Yeah, that's a deep question. I think for me, one of the biggest things that I'm thankful for, proud is maybe a different word. I guess I could use that too. I'm thankful for my personal journey, my personal growth. Type A Taurus is bull in a china shop. That's
Nice.
the DNA package I was delivered at birth, I guess. I would have loved to have some more mentorship on that. I'm thankful that I've run into some great mentors and people I respect that have helped me with my personal journey and my personal growth to be just more forgiving and more tolerant of challenges that come up. I think that's been a wonderful outcome in business. I think as far as accomplishments, honestly, I hope I'm coming across honestly this way when I say this, but some of my biggest accomplishments, in my view, are the turnover days for our clients. Just seeing that absolute thrill and joy of their transformed homes. We always say we'd love to be a fly in the wall, at Christmas or Easter or family birthday parties or anniversaries, to see how our spaces are reconnecting the family. If I can say it that way, Spencer, it might seem lofty, but I really believe in our tagline, and I really believe in transforming the way people live. And I really feel that's our greatest accomplishment is we get to reconnect families. We get to ensure that home is truly their favorite place to be, that they want to come home. They're thankful, they're proud, they're excited to come home into their new space. And then it reconnects the family because they bring everybody into that space, their friends, their family, their relatives, or neighbors and all of that. That's just so fulfilling for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know. And that's, when you connect the why to what you do, then you look for it more and you get to experience that more. And that's the outcome you're driving at. So that's super cool. Paul, what do you think the future looks like for you guys and where you're headed in the next, 3, 5, 10 years?
Yes, well, it's I'm at a stage in life where we have been working on a succession plan for a number of years. Not every one of them have panned out, and so we're on a journey. I feel um, I'm healthy. I feel so good about where we're at. I feel we have a solid decade ahead of us that we're going to see if there's a successor, if you will. I'm really working to create a legacy business, so I'd love to hand this to someone that's working for us, or a group that really understands our mantra and our vision. Super proud of, if I can say this, super proud of our team. We've got long tenure in our team, and that's probably answering your other question, but that's part of this trajectory moving forward. We've got young folks, middle-aged, my age and older, the whole kind of cross section of age and demographic. But I really feel like we're at a really good spot, in a really good position in our city, in our locale, to scale our business. We're looking at growth. I've just sat down with my marketing team, and some of the things that we're looking at, and we've got a pretty solid growth plan and scaling target. So it's aggressive, and I feel like I got nothing but life in front of me, and I'm excited about what I'm doing. I'm not a young buck. I've got lots of experience behind me, so I feel I can weather the storms probably a little better than I used to. And for that reason, I feel the next decade's got a lot of promise. I just feel like we've got a lot of opportunity here in the local area.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it sounds like future looks bright, and yeah, it's exciting to hear just kind of that forward-looking excitement from you. I think I've only been doing my own business for 11 years. I can imagine over 35 years or so that you have to either look for those things to excite you or just keep leaning on the why. And so it's really inspiring to see that, like, hey, we've come this far, and I feel like the most exciting part is still in front of us. So that's fun to hear. Paul, we have a lot of remodelers listening to this show, or I would say probably only remodelers listening to this show. If you just kind of had an open floor to share, words of wisdom or takeaways or inspiration or anything that you would just want to pass along to other people that are probably in similar shoes, I'll say. How would you like to wrap up?
Yeah, again, we could spend a lot of time on that question, but I think you keep coming back to a word which I feel is the magic, and that's finding your why. I would say find your why early and seek it with gusto. Like you have to. Unfortunately, it took me till age 40 to find it, and maybe life has to deal you some curveballs, before you get serious enough about your why. But if you don't know why you're getting up, there's going to be constant conflict. This business is a hard business. I am not going to sugarcoat it. It's a difficult business, many moving parts. To do it successfully, to keep client referrals, to keep your reviews solid, it's a very challenging business. Replacement contractors, in my view, whole different story. You're in there for days. We're in their home for months. They get to see every good, bad, ugly thing about us. And likewise, we get to see their dirty laundry as well. We get to see them at their best and at their worst. And I think you have to know why, and it has to be super powerful for you to overcome, because there's going to be a lot of obstacles without a doubt. We've just experienced financial crisis a number of years ago, now COVID. I mean, back in the day, there was other things. We went through an oil crisis here where we saw the economy tank. There's going to be things that you have to overcome. The other thing I would say is align yourself, as the old adage is, save when you don't have to. Financial prowess, in my view, is a huge part of success. Do not live your lifestyle where you're earning, especially in gross receivables. It can look pretty sweet in your bank account. Don't spend it. Sock it away. Get your LOCs, your lines of credits, built while you have a solid balance sheet. Getting that tagging along, getting yourself a financial mentor early to ensure you're on the right trajectory. Hold yourself accountable to somebody you respect. Being a part of a peer group like Remodelers Advantage or Builder Funnel, some of the organizations that you obviously are running and are part of as are we, are all things that I would suggest as the big picture overview, if I can.
Yeah.
And find yourself somebody you can be accountable to. Probably I've done that on a personal level. You got to buckle up for that, because if somebody's going to be really straight with you and you respect and honor them, you have to then change, and you got to be willing to change.
Yeah. That last one's really good too. Because when you're running the show, it's easy to not be accountable to yourself. And so if you're fortunate enough to find somebody that actually will, and you trust their judgment and their insight, that's huge. So I'm sure we could have spent 10, 20 more minutes on that question, but I think those are really good takeaways and things to think about for people. And Paul, I appreciate you spending your time, sharing your story with us.
My pleasure. Yeah, it's always it's interesting in retrospect, to go back and dig up the past.
Yeah. I think, we can always learn something from history, right? So
Indeed. Let's hope we can.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks so much, Paul.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Take care, Spencer.